So, Azimah,
Hi.
tell us more about yourself. Okay, so putting that into context, obviously this is part of our vlog series that we're doing. I'm super excited about it. I saw the post that Paige posted when you got your black belt in Jiu Jitsu, and when I went to your personal page, I was so excited because actually there's very little Jiu Jitsu on that page. It's like all like feminine movement, and I come from that background as well. I used to teach pole dancing, but it wasn't like a showgirl type of dance. It was like an embodiment practice. And when I was reading like the captions on your posts, you very much seem to be in that vein as well, like the embodiment side of pole. So maybe just introduce like how you found pole, how you found jiu-jitsu, how long you've been doing both, and like a little bit more about sort of the dry, like.
Okay, timeline.
Yeah, timeline. There you go. Yes.
Well, I found Jiu Jitsu in 2015 after being competitive in bodybuilding and powerlifting. I was still competitively powerlifting when I found Jiu Jitsu, and against my coach's demands to not do both at the same time, I still did.
Rebellious.
Yeah, I was like competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments as a belt and also prepping for meets in powerlifting until my body said no for the first time. And I was like only in my early 20s and I couldn't lift an empty bar on my back anymore when I'm used to lifting hundreds, you know. So that was a big wake-up call to me to change my relationship to training and to look at my relationship with my body. And that was the first time I leaned into a mindful approach to training under an apprenticeship with this company called GMB Fitness, which is all about mindful movement through animal movements and locomotion. And I had to take a step back from all training, everything from lifting to jiu-jitsu, and relearn how to use my body. What was cool about it is 6 months of that work, because my spine was going through something. I had to relearn how to use my body. And what was cool about it, when I returned to the mats, 6 to 8 months later, it was as if I never left. So it was really cool because I thought I would have forgotten everything that I learned, right? Especially since I was still a white belt and, it was all still very new to me. But getting into floor-based, ground-based, animal movements, I think created this level of safety in my body and trust in my body that I never had before when I was just focused on, adding numbers on the bar, or focused on a certain percentage of body fat that, gave me insight into a way of training I've never heard of or seen in other people before. And that just kind of opened my eyes, and mindful movement is something that I knew I wanted to keep as I continued on my jiu-jitsu journey. And I still do it, I infuse mindful movement in all the things, everything from animal movement to, let's say, dance, heels dance, and floor work, and also now the pole. I'm actually pretty new to the pole. It's only been almost 3 years now. And that was a part of my journey in kind of reclaiming my feminine side. It just was a calling of mine to do that. I grew up in a fitness household and was very used to being very masculine, catching up with my 2 older brothers, always playing rough. And I realized somewhere along the way in my own personal recovery journey that the feminine side of things, not only was I resistant to it, but there was a lot of fear underneath it. And the fear was from just not knowing any other way to relate to my body or relate to my own femininity in this way, because I just always grew up catching up with the boys and, catching up with my dad at the gym. So Yeah, it was just a calling of mine, and I slowly, the more I leaned into that part of me that was resisting feminine embodiment, it was uncomfortable a lot of the times. Like, I'm honest, so like I get you, Paige. It's uncomfortable a lot of the times, but yeah, just like in any training, right? Any lifting, you work with the resistance, with just the right amount of resistance to create the adaptations, and increase your capacity for more things. And that's what I did. And now I'm in training to be a pole teacher as well, because it's another space that I would like to serve.
Okay, so the resistance to the feminine, it's ironic because women, you would think it would like come naturally to us. Mm-hmm. And whether it's nature or nurture, which I think we can blame quite a bit on nurture for this one, it's very difficult to do that. I relate to that, I'm sure. You relate to that, Paige. Obviously, you said that was your experience. What do you think? So this is maybe a two-part question. What do you think what are the misunderstandings about the feminine and being feminine? And then what are misunderstandings about pole dancing? Because I know from my own experience how much pole dancing can reconnect you with your body and that sensual part of yourself. Even the word sensual sounds very charged, but if you just break it down to like the five senses, right? It's not that charged in that context, but it's very hard to like break through. And that world of pole dancing is a vehicle to reconnect to that feminine part of yourself. However, I think that a lot of women maybe see it as performative, or see it as like kind of a way to get attention or to look hot or look sexy or whatever. And there certainly are women using it that way. But it is a unique space to just connect back with your own self. It doesn't have to be for anybody else. But if you have these misconceptions about it, like you're not going to try it, you'll never get to experience that richness. So two-part question of like, what do you think, or maybe just speaking from your own experience, what did you misunderstand about the feminine that maybe you've been able to discover like either a power or like an energy source or meaning that you didn't think possible before? And then moving into the pole world, like what do you think are some misunderstandings about that world that prevent women from maybe trying and accessing that part of themselves?
Damn.
Misunderstandings,
yeah.
like, so just
Okay.
focusing on the misunderstandings.
Yeah, misunderstandings, I think, I'll speak into my own experience. I think my initial thought of what femininity is very like kind of like I had an idea of what it looks like, right? Like someone who likes wearing pink or like wear cute shit all the time. But I always grew up loving the dirt. Like I love having dirt underneath my nails and playing in dirt and jumping off things, and my brother's catching me or my brother's, throwing me in the air. I love that stuff. And like I just never kind of grew up around like, playing with dolls or, in princess dresses and stuff like that. I would have them occasionally, but I quickly grew out of them. So I always thought that femininity was this look that I had to subscribe to, but I never felt a resonance to it, right? And then as I got older and, it's like my body was calling me to it, and that's why I think, certain injuries had happened to kind of like force me to slow it down. It's more of an inward approach. I'm like to understanding myself, to looking within myself, because I'm so used to the outward focus of like how things should look or what numbers should I hit or what I get to achieve, whether it is in competition or accolades or followers, right? And to me now, and this was through needing to listen to my body through injuries, like countless of injuries that had me slowing down so much that I can't use my body to perform anymore, that I realized that, oh, it's this internal approach, this deep listening to my inner voice, my intuition, what my body is telling me. And, in relationship to my senses. And then that's where I realized that, oh, sensuality is really just tuning into your senses, right? And that's what makes things, like drinking coffee can be a sensual experience.
100%.
The smell, the taste, the
Cooking
whole
in general.
cooking, everything, like so many things, like taking a shower. And Jiu Jitsu could be a sensual thing if you look at it, because you have your senses, you have your senses like switched on. Although, you probably have had experience with certain people where they're not really there. That's where it's kind of the opposite, But it's that connection to the senses. And in the area of pole dancing, initially, I'll be honest, like I had this resistance to like stripper type people. The image of like someone who is hypersexual and, performative in their sexual expression. And in my recovery work, I realized that that was just a resistance that I had, because I realized I do want to really connect with all women, right? If I'm on this track of women's empowerment, like it just didn't make sense that I held so much resistance and tension around a certain group of women that was expressing themselves in that way. So I asked myself, what does it mean to me, And I had this idea, this outdated idea that I didn't even believe, and this is also probably because of, societal conditioning. I grew up in an Asian Muslim household where any sexual expression was just kind of like taboo. Any talk about sex or sexuality was very taboo. So I realized that, I had some resistance with like some beliefs that I don't even know that I actually believe in. It's like I kind of took that on and it was installed in me, but I needed a software update, right? And then, along the way in my recovery journey, I think this is, spirit, universe, God leading me to these breakthroughs, but I made some friends with people who were former sex workers, former strippers. And that really just opened me up, to like my own internal resistances and biases when I'm able to actually get to know somebody and know their heart, know their story, and realize that it's not that different from me, And that's where I realized that whatever I was resisting in another person is something that I resisted within myself. And where I was not allowing myself to express myself sensually, sexually, right? There's a part of me that wanted to be like that, but for whatever reason, I had this outdated story that is just not for me, so I can't, right? So I had to challenge that belief, and that's where I started going into more like a sensual approach to movement based on floor work, and then over time that translated to, okay, I've done this thing on a horizontal plane, let me try to translate this on a vertical plane with a pole. And then I fell in love because I'm a lover of movement, and at that point I was like, okay, really wanting to break through my own self-imposed limitations of what I can and cannot do as a Asian Muslim brown woman, how it's still kind of like taboo, but I find myself really comfortable in that space now, and really happy that I went down that path, because I'm able to see bigger what female empowerment means. It doesn't have to look like this rigid Puritan culture way, because then I'm missing out, or I'm leaving out another part of the population that also needs empowerment and support as well.
I think it's so interesting that you started that answer with how much you love dirt, because to me, dirt is such a feminine, it's literally the womb of the earth. You literally fertilize it. There's seeds planted in it that then grow and give fruit. And when I think of like, I'm very weirdly ancestor focused, so I don't know, I'm always thinking about like my ancestors, which I don't even really know what that means, but like to me, one of the most feminine images I could think of is like a pregnant woman walking barefoot through the mud or something like around her home, 1,000 years ago or something like that. And none of that is a mini skirt and stiletto heels. And yet you can't get more feminine than like a woman of the earth, a fertile woman. And obviously the world we live in now is fertility is a challenge for so many, but it's the concept of femininity being attached to that outer appearance, or a hypersexualized appearance, or even now, like in the world of constant Botox and all that stuff, like forever young appearance and like none of that is femininity. It's not that it's non-feminine, it is, but it's just such a narrow, it's kind of like saying colors are just like one color when actually there's a whole spectrum of colors. So like femininity it means so many different things that I think if you just look to society to define it for you, you're going to miss out on like a huge richness that it actually could be for you or for women in general.
Yeah, it's that tapping into that creative potential that's inherent in not just us as women, but all of us, And I think we, as a society, have this collective amnesia that we do have inherent power within us and inherent knowing within us and our intuitive gifts, intuitive knowing through our senses, our bodily sensations, because we're so used to this top-down approach to things, right? I'm going to think my way out of things. But intelligence lives in our bodies. And I think really that's where the feminine essence lives in all of us. It's in the body's intelligence,
and that's where intuition comes from, right? Is to me, because that's another feminine thing for me, is intuition. And we suppress that. Like women, we habitually suppress our intuitions. And that's something that I was kind of talking to you about with your last competition, was like, okay, but what is your, deep down, what are you what do you know to be true? And you were like, I can't feel it. I'm like, yeah. Women, we're cut off from that intuition. But to me, intuition is your body's knowing, but because it's not expressed as a thought, it's a feeling, it's so easy to miss or to dismiss or to doubt. But it's actually kind of like you were talking top down. That intuition is actually bottom up. And there's never been a time where I have followed my intuition and I've regretted it. There's only been times where I ignored my intuition and was really pissed at myself because I was like, I knew it. And that's another thing I told you too. I was like, if you have an intuition and you don't follow it, you're going to be mad at the situation and mad at yourself for not following that intuition. And then it's like this double whammy of frustration or even rage, depending on what the situation is. So I feel like that intuition, that from the ground up, that's another deeply feminine aspect of ourselves that, again, has nothing to do with the externality of it. But to access it, you need to be in touch with your body on some level. So we're actually going to move with you today, and I know.
You're just so excited.
Paige, tell us what are your thoughts around trying a feminine? So we may or may not actually use the pole. I think I think it could be fun for you to just like try it, but like what are your thoughts around, like just your initial reactions and thoughts?
Like instantly what I feel is like, I don't have time for this. My body is like, okay, how long are we gonna do this? How long? And I get it. This is something that I need to tap into because I feel so much resistance towards it. But I'm constantly said like the timing, I'm like, okay. But I think another thing too would be really helpful for me to like tap into my body because I love to dance. I used to go to music festivals and just move my body and never wanted anyone around me. I just wanted to move. So I guess that's kind of something that I've been lacking. And I used to think like Jiu Jitsu was my dance. But then when you are moving with men, it's like super rigid as opposed to moving with women, right? You're like very fluid. Like you're kind of like in and out and their limbs like move. So I do need to find this balance. So I know I need this, but I'm like, the internal is like, hurry up. How long is this gonna last? So.
Only because we're running short on time. Let's do it. Let's do some dance, some down-regulating feminine movement, and let's give Paige her first dance class experience.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is essentially turn the volume up on sensation and feeling ourselves. Okay, of course, you don't have to go where you don't want to go. And I'm going to invite you to use your ears instead of look at me and what I'm doing. Also a good training for when you're competing and listening to your coaches instead of looking at them, right? So, yeah, you're just going to follow me. You can kind of like peek what I'm doing if you need to. But we're going to basically just start on the floor and go from there. All right. Taking breaths into the body and lengthening your exhale. Swaying your feet side to side and noticing how the contact points begin to shift. Rocking your body side to side. As if you're just checking in, giving yourself a little body scan through movement and feeling what's here. Tuning into the sensation of your body moving on the ground.
I feel so good. That feels amazing. Moving like that. I felt little like joints, things cracking.
It's like ringing your spine almost, this kind of movement. Because it's so gentle. And in a way we do this in Jiu Jitsu, right? It's like you're moving like this and getting up a lot, right? But then the difference is the stress level that happens between the two of these activities. When I have someone that's trying to strangle me, my body's in a different state versus this like relaxed state when I don't have that. I don't have someone trying to fight me.
When you use it in the context of like being animals, you know, how it stretches in the wild and then gets back to its daily living, it's like, okay, well, jiu-jitsu for humans is like fight or flight, right? You're fighting. And if I'm constantly doing that, then I'm sleeping, then I'm not working on that like reset factor, if you will, right? They say sleep resets you, but no. And this is crazy because I don't need to go to a yoga class.
No, you just need a floor.
Oh man.
All right, I'm gonna play a little game. Okay, this will get you into different like shapes too, into a seated position, even exploring going into a quadruped position like this or like this, okay? But this game is called sticky hands and feet. So your hands and feet are going to stay on the ground. Maybe going into a laying down position without lifting hands and feet from the ground, right? And you might find yourself like getting tangled, right? And you're like, how the fuck do I do this without lifting my hands and feet? When that happens, I just want you to slow down. Just slow down. Slow down, and your body always finds a way. Boom. It's like sometimes even in Jiu Jitsu, we get into this like, you know, what is this person doing? Especially you're rolling with someone new who has a completely different game from you. You're like, someone's just slowing down a little bit, pause.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, it's the same kind of feeling. And tapping into the intelligence of your body when you really just connect with how something feels. All right. She's like, I'm ready. And see if you can travel across the floor to a different position. And at plus, seeing if you can get into different heights, different levels.
Reminds me of the planking from like 312.
Yeah.
So, if I'm down here on the ground and now I want to move vertically, how can I do that in an embodied way where it doesn't matter what I look like, just what I feel like?
Okay. So you're going to take 1 whole minute and find the easiest way to get there. In 3, 2, 1. And move as if you're influenced by your breath. Seconds. Yep, so slow level changes. 3, 2, 1. Time. You gonna start there?
Yeah, I'm gonna start here. Just
Okay.
holding on.
3, 2, 1. Moving as influenced by your breath. Whatever is the easiest way to come up and stand by the pole. Three, 2, 1.
So good!
I just watched you.
No way that was like your first time standing up on a pole.
Okay, well, I actually did do a class with you. And so, like, the lady was saying, like, kind of move, like, keep your arms extended, and then that's how your body can easily move. But that's the only thing that I remember from that.
So that's actually what I wanted to do next then, was just walking around the pole. But again,
Yeah, girl,
like
wear my shorts.
with
And do a simple like transition move. You're just basically walking around the pole.
Wait, I thought you were gonna do your minute.
Huh? You want me to do it my minute?
You have to do your minute. We're literally sitting here, and you made me do it.
Oh.
I want to see what we're working with. How? That was like, okay, there we go.
I got some floor burn. My face was over there.
That was
You can
amazing,
put some toe
dude.
anarchy on that and fix it right up. So Paige, before we moved, you were kind of hesitant, resistant, like how long is this going to take? Why do we have to do this? Do I really have to do this? Now that you've done the work, and like let's just think about this, the spreading cream cheese on the floor, the prompt of keeping all, your all four, your hands and your feet, and like working around that. Now that you've done some of that work, like how do you feel right now? And like, can you see the value of adding embodied intuitive movement like this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I literally feel so good right now. My back was hurting when I got off the couch, and now it doesn't hurt. I feel like I do need to tap into like a more like feminine, sensual side. Maybe that will help me to not be so rigid with my everyday thinking too. Like, remember when I first got here, I was like, I'm sitting here, what do I do? And then you were like, LOL. And I was like, is she laughing at me right now? Like, because I'm an idiot? Yes, I am an idiot. And then when I get in here, I was like so nervous about doing the movement. And now I just want to do it again. Like, I want to keep doing it. I want to get better at it. And like you said, like, you're right. Like doing the stand up as well. Like, I didn't want to like look like I don't know, but I don't know. And that's okay too. It just makes me want to do it more.
How did the prompt of like feeling your way through it, how did that change how you moved?
Oh yeah, well, it made me feel like I was not a human. It made me feel like I was like air or water, just like a part of the world. I feel like when I had my eyes closed, I was able to just kind of relax and just feel. And instead of, feel and listen to the music. And then, yeah, I think turning off some senses to heighten other ones is mainly what we need, I feel. Because Jiu Jitsu is a feeling sport, but it's different than what this is. And I think that it's perfect. It's like the yin and the yang, you called it? Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about like having more compassion for your body. And this practice to me is a very compassionate practice. And yet it's so easy to think of it as less important than, I don't have time for this. I have to get all the more important things done. And maybe if there's some leftover time, I'll do something like that. But how do you feel that balancing all of the strenuous things? So like, to me, this work isn't strenuous. It's like the opposite of strenuous. It's like, it's like replenishing.
Yeah.
So how in the beginning, it was kind of like, why do we need to do this? And it's okay, because I think every single woman would feel that way about it, because again, we're not taught any of this. None of this is nurtured. None of this is, given to us by other women, who are out there living a very full, busy, strenuous life. So how can you see, in what ways would this complement and even enhance the more strenuous training that you do?
Well, Azimah said you can do this alone, which is cool and all. But like, I think having the aspect of like watching you guys do it, it was like healing for me, because it comes down to the fact of like, you want everyone else to look good, or you want yourself to look good. So when you watch other women look good, then you're just like, wow, I can do that. Right? And so before, I think I was just like nervous. I was like, okay, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what I need to do. Yeah, but then in Jiu Jitsu, it's just a one-man sport, right? I'm trying to beat somebody up. I'm trying to win. It's either me or them. But we don't have that space to like cheer each other on. And this would be the perfect way to do that, but then also help you feel good about yourself through watching other people, because then you're going to take pieces from them And I really just think that if we don't have the balance, how can we be the complete fighter that we're longing to be? You know, or that jiu-jitsu practitioner, or that mom that's working her job, right, coming to jiu-jitsu. If she's working, I mean, she's probably spending a lot of time doing other things that are for other people, right? Yeah.
Oh, what I'm hearing is the power of community, and specifically like the healing power of other women and the healing power of feminine energy when it's shared generously and openly, and like with no pretensions, no required like entry fees, you know, like no, like just come as you are, move as you are. And sometimes too, I think that when we're around other women that are embodied and grounded, it is healing to share in that energy. And I think that it's its own nourishment, and that it contributes to your longevity, because instead of always spending energy, you're also being replenished. You're also being, someone's pouring into you, or you're pouring into yourself. And so for me personally, like that's the power of this movement, is this is where you recharge your battery. So even if you have a long battery life, like eventually you're going to need to recharge, right? Your body's going to rebel against you, and it's going to be like, there's no battery charge for this. Or you're going to train when your intuition told you today is not the day to go extra hard. But if you never take the time to connect to your intuition, which the way you connect to that and help yourself, because I feel like a lot of women would say, like, I don't know how to listen to my own intuition. It's a bottom-up thing. It's a body-up thing. And like if you actually take time to feel your body, it seems too simplistic, but you'll actually notice, like, I've got a feeling in my gut right now that like, this isn't where I need to be. This isn't what I should be doing.
You asked me that. You were like, what are you feeling? I was like, girl, I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I just feel my shoulder hurting.
Yeah.
I did ask you that.
Yeah.
And I kind of half expected that you were going to be like, I don't know, because you were conflicted. Because you were conflicted about whether or not to compete because of your shoulder. And being conflicted to me means that your intuition is speaking to you. You're just resisting it. You kind of know, but you kind of want to go against it anyway, either because of other people's expectations or your own expectations.
Sometimes you just gotta find out.
Yeah.
Around and find out.
And sometimes there's an adjustment of expectations. If you're like, outwardly, I wanted to do this thing and my intuition is screaming no. So rather than trying to suppress it and be like, don't be upset, get your shit together, figure out a solution, not going that way, and also not drowning. And we've talked a little bit about this, like giving yourself a time period where you can feel that emotion and kind of make that transition to the other side, which is now we got to problem solve and we got to fix it, and like just honoring the whole thing. Yeah. This is a very embodied thing to do versus being up here. Yeah. And so when you were conflicted about whether or not to compete, to me, it was like, oh, it's because your intuition's telling you one thing and there's resistance to it for many valid reasons. It's not that resistance is invalid, many valid reasons. But it's going to change, it's going to result in that confusion.
You're a mastermind. You knew what you were doing right before. You knew I needed this. All you did was ask one question, and then you're like, can we get in touch with Azimah? And I was like, yes. What do you need her for?
And speaking of that, like, do you have any final thoughts after having like watched Paige move and hearing what she has to say? Like, do you have, like just final thoughts to leave us with and leave other women with as well?
Oh man, you guys said such amazing stuff. And I think too, like what we were able to do and kind of explore is also just a safe and grounded way of also taking a little peek of the internal like maybe stories that you tell yourself that maybe you've actually outgrown. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like, like, it doesn't, look good or blah, 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 whatever it is. It's going to take too much time, right? Like, there's evidence today that, contradicts those stories that you tell yourself, right? That, I don't know. And I know this is something that I've experienced for myself too, of like, oh, I'm not graceful enough, I can't dance, I'm so stiff, or, this is gonna like take me a long time to figure out or whatever. But then, evidently, when you took the time just to be with your body and feel your body and yes, acknowledge the resistance, but still anchor yourself to the task of feeling good in your body. It's like conditioner to tangled knots, it just like smooths it out. I'm like, oh, I'm able to like separate the threads a little bit more, and this story isn't really as true as I thought it was. It might still come up, but now I have these data points in my body, and also now my body recognizes that rolling around the floor and doing all kinds of shapes in a non-Jiu Jitsu setting is also okay,
It makes your back feel better.
Literally. And what I was thinking too was that when I was growing up, my mom never talked to me about sexuality, right? Just like you, or maybe you as well. And so I feel like maybe there's many women who train jiu-jitsu that never understood or never got the talk that they should have, right? And it's almost like I'm healing that little girl inside of me. Like, it's okay to be this. Yeah. It's okay. Like, when I met my husband and he said that, he was like, come on, babe, let's go in there and do the thing. And I was like, wait, your parents? He was like, they know that this is what we do. This is what people do. And I was like, but he had that comfortable talk with his mom and his
very
parents.
normalized in the household.
Very normal. But for me, I was like, you have to be quiet. You have to hide it, And it was just like, And so that's what I was thinking too when I was coming in here. I was like, I need to be quiet. Like, I need to hide it. I don't need to like show everybody all that I have. And then I'm like, wait, that just made my back feel better. It made me feel more intuitive. Like, I don't know yet because I haven't asked myself questions, but if that's how I connect to my intuition instead of just meditating, then this is something that's going to really be life-changing for me.
There are many paths to connect to your intuition. Yeah. Meditation's great, but it's not the only one. Yoga's great, but it's not the only one. Like, for me, intuitive embodied dance, which, by the way, is spreading cream cheese on the floor. Like, that's what it is. Put on some really good music and go spread cream cheese. That's it. Like that.
Yeah, your sexy song was sexy.
I need the name to that. I had not heard that song before.
I'll give you the playlist. I'll give you the playlist.
It was good.
But that,
turn that up?
Yes. Well, a couple more time, couple notches more.
But that's it, right? Getting out of your head and into your body, into the wisdom and the intelligence of your body. And sometimes you do come up with that mind chatter. But I feel like this way is a good, it's a good,
gateway.
A gateway. It opens the door to, addressing maybe things that even come up in competition, right? Where the self-doubt kind of creeps in, or where, where
they always say your body knows what it needs to do. Like, don't think about technique. They always say this right before you compete. Don't think about technique. You can't learn anything right now that's going to help you. Your body knows what to do, but how do you know how do you trust it?
I was just going to say, building trust with your body, like actually building that relationship with your body. You would think we already have it because we're existing in a body, but we're actually really dissociated from our bodies. 100%. And modern life demands it. It's not even like we're doing something wrong and it's our fault or whatever. We're born into this timeline, But building that trust, that compassion, that feeling relationship with your body, I would imagine it would translate into every part of being a high level competitor in jiu-jitsu.
So I think these kinds of practices are, good way of expanding what safety feels like in your body. And I know that a lot of people come into jiu-jitsu wanting to, address maybe some trauma that they've experienced in their lives, and or even, deep-seated conditioning around what they can or cannot do. And I feel like these practices are a good way of like kind of taking the stress of fighting out of the equation, to rewire that, right? Because our brains are neuroplastic, our nervous system, and so rewiring what that safety feels like in your body is so possible. And in fact, it will be like supportive of your entire jiu-jitsu journey, no matter what level you're at, yeah. And I think this is something that I wish everybody has access to and practice, incorporate some amount of this, because it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as putting a 3 to 5 minute song on and just rolling around the ground, or just breathing, or whatever that might look like. Just whatever way you can get in your body for a little bit at a time regularly is all you need. And the floor is always a safe space for me.
I love that. The floor will hold you.
Always. Always.
Cool. Well, I think that's it. I wish I could come up with a cooler ending, but this is only our second vlog, so we're working our way there. But thank you, Azimah, for
Thank you guys.
welcoming us into this space, for telling us a little bit about your story, and then teaching us how to move and prompting us through deeper connection to our own body. It was super fun. I know Paige had fun. Her back pain is gone. So this was like lovely, and you're a lovely person. So thank you so much for having us. And
She's mighty light.
It's true. Yeah, that's my name.
Don't forget.
It really is. Actually.
do you want to tell people where you're at on social media?
Yes, I am at im.mightylight on Instagram. Yeah, and Mighty Light is the direct translation of my name, Nur Azimah. It's Arabic for Mighty Light.
I love that. And also, like, she is a black belt in Jiu Jitsu, but she doesn't have a ton of Jiu Jitsu on her page. So I just want people to know, like, you have your black, congratulations, right? Because you've gotten it in the last year.
In May. May this year.
All right. New black belt. Love it.
Baby.
That's a whole other journey. So I've heard. I don't know. I'm a purple belt. I don't know anything about black belts.
It's just weekend. It's just reset. I don't like target on my back. Great.
No,
I'll flow with you. I'll flow with you. I'll flow with you. I'm really good at flowing. I'm really good at that. Submitting, like, I don't know, not so much, but I'll flow.
Yeah.
I will flow the shit out of that round.
I'll be flowing too.